another story?
Yes.
This is my friend Sophia. She has an amazing story to tell in sign language. Sophia is deaf, although she read my lips just now when I spoke to her. So Sophia is going to tell you about an experience she had in the Garden of Gethsemane. And to set the tone, I'm going to have the gardener bring out the garden. Thank you, gardener. So imagine, if you will, we're in the Garden of Gethsemane, a few days after Jesus was there praying. Sophia had an experience. Silence. Do you hear it? Do you feel it? She says, I have known silence all my life. All my life. But I have never known silence like this before. They say I cannot hear, but I hear more than you think. I feel vibrations. I can hear soldiers when they march down the street, like I heard them here in this garden just a few days ago. I can hear a bee when it gets too close. I hear thunder, and I hear with my eyes. When you move, you speak to me. Your body says things you do not hear, but I hear. And when you look at me, when you look into my eyes, I can hear you. I hear your mood, and sometimes your thoughts. I can hear with my heart. My heart has heard joy, anger, fear, and love. It was those sounds that brought me to this garden the first time. But now I hear nothing. And this silence is the most desperate sound I know. This garden was the end of my search. My search filled with hope of finally being able to hear with my ears, to hear for the very first time. It all began one day as my brother was coming home from work. He encountered a large crowd of people blocking the street. He lingered to see what all the fuss was about. And it was then that he saw him, a man. I later learned his name was Jesus. And Jesus was talking to a blind man. What exactly happened is unclear. My brother's version didn't make much sense, but supposedly the man spit on the ground, made some mud, rubbed it on the blind man's eyes, and suddenly this blind man could see. When my brother told me this, I didn't want to believe him. But he looked me in the eyes. My brother's eyes don't lie. I heard with my heart that what my brother had seen was real. My brother had seen a miracle. I have always wanted to hear with my own ears. And this story my brother told me gave me hope. Who was this man? If he can make a blind man see, could he also make a deaf woman hear? I had to find out. I had to find this man and see if he could indeed work a miracle for me. It became our mission to again find this man. All of our searching seemed to be in vain. Jesus was all around us, it seems, but we were always just a day or an hour behind him. We were where he was, but he was gone. Then at last we found him, here in this garden. We were outside the temple when the priests and their soldiers gathered. They were led by a man named Judas, a follower of Jesus, a man I later learned was a traitor. My brother overheard their plan to arrest Jesus. Why they would arrest a man who did such good things, I could not understand. I followed their torches in the darkness, hiding behind rocks and trees to this very spot. We watched, both frightened and at the same time hopeful. The man Judas approached the healer. He kissed him on the cheek. And there were some words. I could not hear them, but there were angry words, not from Jesus, but from the crowd. One of the men with Jesus drew his sword and struck one of the men, cutting off his ear. I watched in amazement as Jesus picked up the ear and placed it back on the man's head, totally healed. Well, that was it for me. That was indeed a man who could work miracles. I had to get to him. I had to be touched by Jesus. I started to run to him, but my brother, seeing the danger, held me back. Then, before I knew what was happening, Jesus was gone. Soldiers arrested Jesus, dragging him down the hill, and his disciples scattered like frightened children into the darkness. I missed my chance. I missed my miracle. And I heard sounds I did not like. I heard the faces of an angry mob. I heard the vibrations of the cross being dragged through the street. I followed and watched, hopeful that this would somehow undo itself. I heard the earth vibrate with each blow of the hammer as they nailed him to that cross. I heard the thunder, the loudest I have ever felt. And now, the silence. The silence and the feeling I have lost. Lost all hope of ever hearing again. No sound comes from my heart. There is no silence like the silence of a dead heart.